Sup guys, Cardfight here, and today I'm here with a Deletor's deck profile. So since with the release of the trial deck, Deletors are playable now, and they are pretty good for the most part. And so let's get right into the deck profile, since I did try playing with this thing, and it is quite a good deck to play with. Right, so for starting Vanguard, I run 2 of the starters that come in the trial deck, and his skill is move this card into Soul. When your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you may pay the cost, which is moving the Soul. Then you may draw a card, and then choose a card in your damage zone and flip it. So this card is pretty important in the deck because it lets you, it gives you more unflipping power, which this deck needs because you do use quite a lot of counterblast in this deck, so that extra unflip is nice. And yeah, enough said. I run 2. I'll explain a bit why more later. Usually in a game you will use both of them, so yeah, it's quite nice. Next, we run 4 of the trial deck one. Daunting Deletor Woksis. Woksis, I think his name is. And his skill is, counterblast 3. Choose a Deletor card, rear guard, and put it into Soul, and then you may. This card gets plus 10k power, and then you can delete your opponent's Vanguard. And the second skill is during your opponent's ride phase, if they want to ride, they have to discard a card if it's deleted, or else yeah, they can't ride if they don't discard a card while their Vanguard is deleted. So yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, he's nice. He's quite a nice card to have. Counterblast 3 is a bit much, but making your opponent discard 1 in order to ride again is actually pretty good. A lot of times your opponent will have a hard time choosing what to discard, especially when your opponent has a low hand size. So yeah. Next, we have the Deletor that came in the movie booster. Juxtaposed Deletor Zwill, I think his name is. Skill is counterblast 2, choose a card from your hand and discard it, and when this card performs Legion, you would pay the cost, and then delete all your opponent's Vanguard. And yeah. The second skill is when your card attacks a Vanguard, it gets plus 2k power. So he's a pretty nice card to have. In my opinion, I kind of like him more, even though he costs more counterblast. I feel like it's a nicer Vanguard to ride into, since they will have to discard a card when they re-ride, while this card, if they have a grade 3, they can just ride on top of it without discarding. And this card, you have to Legion. Then you can only activate his skill when you Legion, while this card you can activate whenever. So yeah, but they're both really good cards. I mean, this card, when you only have to need to counterblast 2, so that's pretty good. So I run 4 of each, which is pretty standard, I guess. So yeah. Next, I run 3 12k attackers. The reason I run 3 is because I want to run other stuff, since there's a lot of good grade 2s in this deck that I want to run. But mainly, the grade 2s, the 12k attacks are here to help you form magic numbers with your 8k vanillas. So I run 3. Next, I run 2 of the unflippers. When this card attack hits, you can unflip a damage. So obviously he's very useful, very good at pressurizing your opponent and unflipping some damage. I don't run more because this card's really only threatening when your opponent's deleted. Otherwise, I just usually guard it with 10, which is still nice, I guess, but it's nicer when they have to drop like a 20k guard in order to prevent you from unflipping. And if they can't guard it, then you just unflip, and then you can wreak havoc in next turn. Next, I run 2 Evos, which is a card that came in Bushido Road monthly, so you won't see this guy anywhere else. His skill is Counterblast 2. When this card is placed on a rearguard circle and your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose a rearguard. Choose a card in its name that's not Evo, and superior call it. So it doesn't have to be grade 1 or lower. You can superior call anything. You can superior call this 12k attacker, pretty much anything. So it's Counterblast 2, which is quite expensive actually, and you might think it's too expensive to run in this deck, but I feel like running him in 2 is nice because you can superior call this in your deck, and it's pretty much a +1 for Counterblast 1, which is quite nice. And also, if your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you can have a lot of ways to unflip. So you can, depending on how your field is set up, this card is very useful. You can potentially get some other unflips off if you have some of this, and basically it's a very versatile card, and he is quite nice. But you have to be careful of how you use it, because again, it is Counterblast 2, so be careful. But unflipping isn't too big of a problem in this deck, so I quite like it. Whoops, why is the heal trigger doing? What's the heal trigger doing there? Alright, so next I run 4 of the Legion Mate for Juxtapose Deletor. His skill is, when this card is placed on a rearguard circle while your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you can choose one of your opponent's rearguards and lock it. So it's a very powerful card. Very crippling, since you pretty much get to lock for free on the turn that you delete your opponent's Vanguard. Yeah. Usually the turn that you delete the Vanguard, their field is completely useless on their turn because, yeah. You can have that Great One booster and also lock something, so usually they'll have both of their rearguards locked, and then they'll only be swinging for like 6 or 7k, which is quite funny. So yeah. Great Ones, I run 3 of the lock on boost if your opponent's Vanguard is deleted. So when this card boosts and hit your opponent's Vanguard while your opponent's Vanguard's deleted, you can lock a card. So it's obviously a very strong card. Again, it's very pressurizing along with this. If your opponent's Vanguard is deleted and you have a column like this, they are going to be pretty scared. But if you want to divert your pressure, you can have something like this. Something like this. Then your opponent will also have pressure, deciding whether they want to get a unit locked or have a damage unflipped. So there's that. Next, I run 2 of the Soul Blast 2 draw card. This card is pretty nice in this deck because you can call it Soul Blast 2 draw card and then use this card to Counterblast 3, delete your opponent's Vanguard, and then just shove this guy into Soul, since he's a 5k booster, so it's not that great. But pretty much you got to delete your opponent's Vanguard for free, I guess, since the card you drew with this card's effect mitigates this guy's Soul Charge. So yeah. What I also like to do is spam all their effects, put them into Soul. Call this card to rip them out of the Soul, so that you can Legion these back in and unflip more damage. So yeah. Next, I run 2 of the 10k attackers for the Grade 1. They're 10k, so they do hit a magic number on your opponent's 0k Vanguard. And I run 2 AK boosters, which is nice with the Tokyo attackers, which pretty much these are the only things in the here for. It actually also forms matching numbers with the, where is it? Juxtapose Deletor. You can swing for 30k, which is also a matching number, but when you're swinging for that big anyway on your opponent's 0k Vanguard, they're probably going to drop a Perfect Guard, so it doesn't matter too much. Most of the time I'll be having the locking booster behind my Vanguard, because most of the time they're not going to guard it and you're going to get a free lock off. And then I run 4 Perfect Guards because Perfect Guards are Perfect Guards, and I don't want to run Quintet Walls because this deck is quite counterblast heavy, as I said before. Next, run 4 crits, 4 stands, which are amazing in this deck, 4 draws, and 4 heal. So Rainbow Trigger lineup. Some people run 8 stands, which is okay, I guess, but it doesn't put enough pressure on your Vanguard spot. So when your opponent's at 4 damage and they know that you don't have crits in your deck, they're just going to take it because they know they're not going to die from that attack. And they can, you know, potentially hope to get a heal trigger or something, or a trigger or something, and then bump their Vanguard back to 5k, which might be a problem. So if you guys don't have access to these guys, I recommend running more damage and flippers and 12k attackers. So yeah, you can run 1 more damage and flipper and 1 more 12k attacker if you want. Yeah, I also see people running vanillas, but I don't think I would do that. But yeah, these guys are pretty good. So try to get your hands on these if you can. So yeah, this is my deck profile, and hope you guys enjoyed it. This is Karataku, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!